Hey, what's going on? So wanted to make this video about how to lead at camp, primarily for my own leaders, but also I figured this might be a great general video to upload and to put out there for anybody that wants to listen in on. So I'll start off with this. When it comes to being a team leader at camp, I think the sort of underlying piece to all of this is basically that the camp experience, no matter the campground and how things run and the games and whether they're super great or well done or whatever it is, the campground can kind of be fully separate because really I think in a lot of ways the team leader really makes or breaks camp. If the team leader is not good and doesn't do a great job, doesn't put effort into it, doesn't really put a lot of thought into it, then you can have the best campground and camp activities and things going on in the whole wide world, but it's probably not going to be that great. But on the flip side, you could have a camp that is not that well done and isn't great on a lot of maybe objective measures. But if you have a great team leader, that student probably will walk away thinking, wow, this camp was actually so much fun, despite maybe a long list of bad or things that could have been better, whatever it is. So the team leader, I think, really makes a massive difference on the experience of camp for these students. So what I wanted to do is look into a few different ideas about how to be a great team leader and how to put in some good focused energy and effort into a few things that I think will really excel and help you do a great job of being a team leader. So I'll start off with this, and this is kind of, we'll break things off into basically two categories, but I'll start off with this is that you will constantly be living in that whole week sort of a tension, a battle, a push and pull, whatever term you want to use, but you will be constantly living within a battle of basically three things, and that is one, winning games, doing good at the competitions, because that's an important part of camp. No student is like, yeah, we didn't do good and we got fourth place. No student's excited about that. So doing well in the team competitions and getting points and doing well in terms of winning the games and things like that. So that is one major part of camp. So that's one of the parts that you'll be battling with, and keeping spirits high. So whether you're doing really great and keeping your students from being a little bit too over-egoed about it, or maybe you're doing really bad and things aren't going well, and learning how to, keep their spirits high and encourage them and help them do well in things. So that'll be one of those tensions. So it's winning games, keeping spirits high, and then course correcting. So there will be lots of little moments and interactions with students all week where some students get really tired and then they get very cranky and very angry at everything in the whole wide world. And then some students are just way over the top and all that sort of stuff. And so you got to work within all these boundaries and within all of these tensions and these battles between winning games, keeping spirits high and encouraging students, but also course correcting. And I'll actually probably throw in a fourth one is pastoring students and leading students. And so that's kind of a tension you'll be living in all week, is managing all of those different things all at once. So in terms of like practical things, I'm going to split this off into two categories. The first one is sports. And so all the team competition stuff, because realistically, that's a big part of camp. And then the sort of leading part of everything. But there's lots of bleed over and lots of interlapping between both of these. So a lot of these I'll repeat, but they kind of have their function and their place within the different categories. So we'll start with sports because I think it's more fun, and then we'll lead into the more important things like leading. So with sports, here's some things to think about, and I think that'll be really helpful. So first off is do everything you can. Every single way and measure and possible method, everything to remember every student's name. Remember their names. That is, for whatever reason, that is probably one of the most important things. Because if you go all week, you spend 5 days with these students and you're like, oh, what was your name again? I don't remember. And it's like, wow, I've told you like 17 times. My name is Ryan. The students it's one of those little things that just erodes trust and all that sort of stuff. So do everything you can to remember students' names. I would say particularly if you're the guy, remember the guy's names. If you're the girl, remember the girl's names. Especially get that down. That's the minimum of it. But if you can remember all of the names on your team, granted it is 55 or so names, so it's going to be difficult. But at the very least, you can memorize about 20, 25, give or take, students' names that are going to be on your gender of the team. So do everything you can. Write them down. I mean, literally any method that you can and you need to use that method to remember their names because it's super important. And then with that is connect with every single student. Find some way to have some interaction, conversation, little thing about the students and learn something about them. Because especially in the sports context, it helps you understand hey, since I'm on the guy side of things, I connect with these couple dudes and I learn, they're all on the baseball team. Oh, that's awesome to know that you guys play baseball. One, get to know things about what they do and why they like baseball and that sort of thing. But also it helps with the sports because, you play baseball. Okay, so now when we get into games, when it involves something that's loosely related to baseball, I'm like, hey, you three, if it's three of them that are on a team, I need you guys for this. So learn little things about them because one, it helps you with strategizing during games and putting good students in on the right kinds of games, but also it helps with just connecting with the students. So connect with them, learn something new about them. Encourage your students very, 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 very often. Always be encouraging your students because it's one of those things that's kind of a little bit more on the leading side, but especially during team competitions. As soon as you lose one game or a kid does kind of bad in a game, morale just drops. It just tanks. So you've got to kind of be the one leading the way in encouraging your students. Yes, you're going to have that student that was really excited about playing this particular game, and then they just suck at it. They just are not good at the game. You can still find ways to encourage them. Say, hey, you gave it your all. You did your best. I loved the energy. I loved the effort. Whatever it is, find some way to make it positive, and you'll have to do some little quick, fun thinking in the moment, in the heat of all the million things going on. But find every little way on the field, during meals, at services, all of that stuff. Encourage your students super, super often. Keep encouraging them, keep encouraging them, keep encouraging them. So then more on a practical sense, not that those aren't practical, but another practical way is the way in which you win the team competitions overall in terms of the whole week. Really, the way that you really win is not the big games and the points that you get from those games. It's all of the little points that you accumulate throughout the week. So they'll put out things like finding objects in the campgrounds during the mornings. If you find those things, they give you a lot of great points. It's things like the FIFA tournament that we do. It's things like the PYN News, the little minute to win it games. If your students, if they really lean into that and they really do good at it, or they really put some effort into doing good at it, then that will grab you and lock you up a good bit of points. And so it's not just the team competitions that are really obvious and right in front of your face that give you a lot of great points. It's all of the little things that sort of stack on top of each other and end up making your points kind of soar through the sky. And also spirit points, so doing chants, doing cheers, encouraging other teammates, helping out the rec staff. It's all the little spirit things that you do throughout the week that the rec staff take notice of, and then they give you little points for, which I'm really good at that. That's where I win at camp. Also, being decisive during games. Be very decisive when you're in games because you've got, soon as they're like, I need 4 guys and 4 girls that want to throw a thing, you're going to have every single person be like, me, right up in your face. And it's just going to be, everybody wants to do everything all of a sudden. But in the midst of all of that, you've got to be decisive about who's going to do something, what you're going to do, where you're going to go, all of those little things. You've got to just make a decision and just roll with it. Just do the decision. You've got to be decisive. If you're indecisive, then you kind of just have to push past that and just be decisive all of a sudden, which is not overly helpful, but it is helpful in the long run and helps you grow in all that sort of stuff. But you've got to be very decisive and quick to make decisions and stick to those decisions. And then you got to take initiative in everything. Take initiative in the games, in all the competitions. Take initiative in what you're going to do, where you're going to go, how you're going to do things, what you're going to do, all that sort of stuff. Take initiative in everything, at mealtime, in services, in games, everything. Take the initiative, do the little bit of extra, go the little extra mile. in everything that you do, take initiative in that. And then also last thing is, at least is kind of more specifically for sports, is get to know your other team members. So there's probably going to be 4 of you team leaders on each team, 2 guys and 2 girls, and take a few minutes and take time over the week to connect with them, because you need them to help you and you help them, and it's a team effort. So get to know your students, get to know your leaders. It's all the little points that really matter. Encourage your students super often. Be very decisive, and take initiative in absolutely everything. So that's kind of more on the specific sports side of things. Also, I totally forgot about one thing, was the skits that you do during the week. The ones that tend to win best are the ones that are funny or really hype or really entertaining. So when you think of the skit, think of fun, hype, and entertaining. Okay, now we get to the leading part of it, and this is sort of more of the side where you kind of basically take on the role of as the student's youth pastor for the week. Even though maybe by title you're not like youth pastor over like a church or that thing, but realistically you are a youth pastor for these students. Very likely they will be there with their youth pastor, and so there's going to be a bit of like a balance between like they'll go to you because they're with you during the games, but also they're going to go to their pastor, and both are fine. Some students are comfortable with you and other whatever, but in a realistic way, you kind of are becoming a bit of a youth pastor for these students throughout that week. And so it's helpful to remember that and keep that in the front of your mind, is that students are watching, students are paying attention. So a little bit of an overlap. So when it comes to leading, do everything you can to remember students' names, because that is just a way that you connect with students. That's a way that you lead students. Do everything you can to remember every student's name that you are interacting with on your team, especially your side of the team. And I would do all you can to remember the names of everybody on the whole team. Connect with every single student and learn something about them, not for the advantage of the sports team, but because you're there to connect with these students and to help them have a great experience. And if there's an adult in their life that is paying attention to them, noticing them, seeing them, and making them feel like they are seen, like they're noticed, and like they're valued, then that goes a really long way. Again, encourage your students very often. So that's both on the sports field, but also during mealtime and in services and hangouts and that sort of thing. Encourage your students very often. Encourage them. But also, as you are the team leader, lead your team. I know it can get just lost in the vernacular of everything, but lead your team in the guys that you have or the girls you have, whatever side of the team you're on. Lead those guys, lead those girls, take initiative and be the example, and be in sort of a mindset of, okay, if everybody's going to replicate what I'm doing, will this camp be better or will this camp be worse? So it's like the picking up trash, asking people if you can help. It's being willing to jump in on things. It's staying a little late to things so that you can help. It's getting there early. It's being on time. It's all that sort of stuff. So take initiative in leading your students. And it's sort of, I think one way that can sort of help is that in leading your students, I think it's helpful to remind them of who we are. Like, use identity terms in a sense. So like, you have students that are like being overly complainative about, we're not doing good in team competitions. Okay, you can correct that and course correct that by saying, hey, you guys are giving in your all. And that's what really matters, that we're doing our best and that we're putting our effort in. And you can remind them of, we are people that put everything in. We go all in. We are students. We are people that are going to put our best effort forward, our best foot forward. And you can coach and pastor through that. So you lead by reminding them of who we are, and also lead your team. But also, as you're there, you will also have to live in a balance. Another balance that you'll have to live into is being the leader for the students on your team, if you're on a different team than our rhythm students, and then also being the leader for the rhythm students that are ours, that we go back to with after camp. And so you'll live in a bit of a balance and a bit of a tension there, because some students on your team, if you're on a different team that's not with our rhythm students, they will want you to pastor them, but then also our rhythm students will want you to pastor them. But there also will be a tension of like, your students on your team will want their pastor, like by church, to be there for them. And so it'll be a bit of a balance. to live in that, but own it, accept it, live in it, and work with it the best as you can. Use wisdom in that. And then last thing is just take initiative in everything. Take total initiative in everything that you do. Be the person that everybody should be imitating, and think about if all the leaders were doing what I'm doing, would camp be better? If all the students were doing what I'm doing, would camp be better? Or would camp end up being worse? So kind of to wrap it all up, basically it's this, is that your intentional, purposeful effort in being a team lead, in leading your team, not just being, I'm the adult on the team, but leading your team will, one, it'll help you win games because you'll be conscious and purposeful and thoughtful and strategic about the games, yes, but it'll help your students feel noticed, feel cared about, it'll help them feel included, and realistically, that's kind of the big goal of all of this sort of stuff, because here's the little trick of camp. All of the team games and competitions and field stuff, all of that, it's fun, and yes, I love all that. It's super cool. But realistically, the real kind of purpose behind them, if you could say that, is all of that stuff is there to make sure, or it's there for purpose so that walls break down, students get comfortable, and that students feel included, they feel valued, and they feel like they're part of something. So that way, when they get into the services, they're much more open, they're much more willing and anticipating and expecting, and they're much more eager to be in on the services to where they can encounter God. And that's really what all of this is about, is that your efforts in being a team lead will either help them encounter God in a better way, or it'll make them just kind of, I'm here, and it's kind of is what it is, and they might push in, they might not, they'll probably just sit back and observe. But being a purposeful, thoughtful, strategic, putting in effort team leader, you will help your students feel noticed, feel cared about, feel included, and at the end of the day, they'll be more open to God. They'll be more open to the encounters that they can have with God, and it'll translate into the services, into the altars, into small group times, and all that sort of stuff. And so being a team leader is a big privilege, and it's a big honor because you are pastoring students for a few days, and it's something to rise up to, not to feel like, that's a lot to ask of me. I think anybody can be a leader. You just have to put a little thought into it, put a little intention into it, put a little effort into it. And if you do some of these things, then I think you'll do a really good job at being a team leader. And students will walk away from camp thinking that was by far the best week of my entire summer. It was the best week of the year, and I loved camp because the games were fun, the services were awesome, but my leader, he was the little underpinning of all of that. And so camp's going to be great. You're going to do a great job, and we'll see you at camp.